to the I-80 Club and another National Fun League, the Week 3 recap. Josh Peterson, Mike Schaefer with you today. We do this each and every Tuesday morning, and we talk about the greatest league in the world, Mike Schaefer, the NFL. How are you?
I'm good. I continue to marvel at the fact that there was real consideration from one of the two of us of not having a podcast this year. It wasn't ever me. It was you. You were the one that wanted to just let this thing die. And I said, no, Josh, there might be a Sunday where multiple kicks in the 12 o'clock window get blocked. Several of them get returned. And what if one of those teams didn't even win the game? And you said that might be something we'd want to talk about. Let's do the podcast.
I said, but the Cowboys, Schaef, the Cowboys are going to be bad. Yeah. And you said, no, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. I think that the Cowboys are bad. The Cowboys are terrible.
I think the Cowboys are endlessly entertaining. And sometimes you need teams like that allow other teams to get their best offense in. So you can see what the perfect day for Caleb Williams looks like. Realizing it'll probably never look like that again this season. Yeah, and you just have to be hopeful that you aren't taking on him in a fantasy league if you were one of those poor souls who were just hoping that the Cowboys could make one stop, but they could not.
First day ever without a sack for him. Congratulations, Caleb. This week, Jordan Love has already had one career day against Dallas. Let's see if he can make it two. We're really going to test that theory, though, Schaef, when they play Justin Fields and Bryce Young in back-to-back weeks. But all bets are off with this defense over the course of the next few Sundays.
Yeah, well, if, they can make Dak Prescott look like Michael Penix, I guess you should be worried about the Panthers here in a few weeks. I didn't watch any of that game, so I am unable to talk about it in almost any context other than nothing felt more bizarre to me when the score would appear in the little corner of the screen or, like when I was trying to decide what games to put in the multi-view after they tore the Vikings away from me on local CBS to go to some other team that was playing in a game that was less than 30 points at that time, which just felt unnecessary to me. But what are you going to do? I had no interest in that game before the week started. I had no interest in that game after the game started. And yet I could not fully comprehend how a team that they didn't even have like 300 yards, right?
Who?
They won 30-0
sorry. I thought you were talking about the Bears-Cowboys game. I was very confused.
No.
Sorry. I didn't watch a second of Falcons-Panthers. I will never understand that game at all.
No,
I do not understand
I watched Bears-Cowboys.
Okay.
Mostly because that was the primary game, and I was over at my in-laws late in the afternoon, and then there was no other options.
Correct.
But I can't say that I wanted to watch Bears-Cowboys at one point.
I didn't either.
Early on, it felt like, hey, this could be a lot of fun, lots of scoring. Let's see what this looks like. And then one of the teams stopped scoring while simultaneously did not prevent the other team from scoring.
Yep, it's going to be a tough one. But you know what? We soldier on here on National Fun League, and that is our plan each and every week. If you are a first-timer, first of all, you can do a couple things. You can like and subscribe to the YouTube page here. It helps us grow. We do a pregame show on Sundays, actually. Matt McMaster and I, we look at 5 games on the docket for the week. We got a critique earlier this morning, Schaef, from one of our listeners who faded us as we broke down those 5 games. Now, as I pointed out to listener Steve, and thank you, Steve, for watching and or listening, he says, brutal weekend for the NFL predictions, boys. Thanks for the content. I did, Schaef, have the Chiefs to cover, and I did have the Eagles to cover in our picks on Sunday. So I'm actually not terrible. I went 2-3 because I did have the Ravens. I had the Ravens. So I don't really know if I committed either way to the Cowboys-Bears game. I didn't have a good feeling about it.
Do you guys get to pick any game at random, or was it just like a selected games where you're having to make the call on it?
No, so Matt picks the 5 games that we talk about every week, and then at the end we just say who we like, in it. But so there's not like we're not keeping track of standings. I guess we could do that. That's not a bad idea for things moving forward. But it was just kind of I like this team. Yeah, I like this team, and so I ended up getting at least two of them right.
You should get a different listener every week, and then they put in their 5 predictions, and then you can see which one of you end of the end of the year is the king of the NFL.
The king of content, Mike Schaefer, with all of those ideas. So, yeah, it ended up being okay. But anyway, we do that show is called Before the Witching Hour. It is on Sunday mornings at 9:30. We would love to have you join us.
Did you guys have a nice dialogue as your teams played each other?
We texted a little bit. I texted him congratulations in the second quarter, and he said, "Stop it! I know what you're doing." And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. Congratulations. The game. Maybe it was the third quarter. The game was certainly over in my mind by the time I texted him, and he said, "Stop it." And then when I texted, like as the game truly was almost over, then he didn't respond to me for like 2 days. So I don't know. I think he's happy.
He's not quite a Jack Mitchell texter, but he is somewhat difficult to get responses from.
Which is surprising. He's Gen Z. I figured he'd always be on his phone.
Yeah, I think he is always on his phone, but he's not always considering the timeliness of a response. So I
think you're right.
There's that or he's watching some 1980s boxing match on YouTube.
My gosh.
Those are generally where you can find one Matt McMaster.
Yeah, that's usually how he rolls. So we have that going on. We have other stuff too. Schaef, the I-80 football show this week will feature 2 NFL-related guests. Seth Wickersham, I actually spoke to him yesterday, author of a brand new book, American Kings. Really good conversation. And then Dave Hellman from The Athletic is going to join me. So Seth is about the book, and then Dave is going to join me to talk about the NFL at large. So that's coming up on Thursday. So if you want more NFL stuff in your life,
more NFL stuff.
Who wouldn't want more NFL?
Well, you to start with, but you've since changed your tune. Now you're like, I'm not doing enough NFL. I need to do more NFL, which Correct. I like from you. I like this correction. I like this acknowledgement that you made a terrible decision in your life and you want to correct it. And so I appreciate that.
Well, I'm happy that you do. So those are all the things that we have coming up, plus all the other usual stuff. Volleyball State became free today. That is available for you on the YouTube channel. Jack and I have a pod tomorrow night, and we are in cahoots. We are in talks with Mike Schaefer about him potentially joining us for an episode in the near future. So stay tuned for all of those things. But let's get Schaef to the football. Let us talk about week 3. Now, the thumbnail for this episode features a photo of Daniel Jones in a Colts uniform, and it asks, "Good?" ? Let's talk about the Colts before we get to, I don't really know what we have to say about my team, and your team dominated this weekend. We can talk about some other stuff. Are you someone who believes that this is a real thing that we are watching right now, or is this the 2025 version of the 2024 Saints, a team that's gotten off to a nice start, a surprising start, but retroactively we're going to look back and say, yeah, but who did they beat? I will say they beat the Broncos, and I think the Broncos are solid, but their other 2 wins are not against teams that I think are anything close to good, including the Tennessee Titans on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of your 3 wins are blowout wins against the Titans and Dolphins, and so those are 2 teams that don't have a win yet, right? Like they're 0-6.
Correct.
And so then your other win is against a 1-2 Broncos team that, while good, they haven't been quite how people would have expected them this year,
especially on defense.
Yeah, the defense hasn't been the league's best, which is sort of what the expectation was coming in. But that's a quality win. You don't take that away, and you certainly don't apologize for wins in the NFL. The 3-0, I don't really believe it, but I also don't have a reason to think that they can't win 10 games and be in the playoffs either. So they just need to go 7-7 the rest of the way, and that's probably your AFC South winner unless Jacksonville goes like 11-6.
Let's go Jags.
Or 10-7 themselves. So, I mean, those are the only 2 teams I think can come out of the South. I'm ready to be done with the Texans. I actually think they need to give back their franchise if this is how they're going to play football. I know a couple years ago, there were some people that regarded them as the most fun version of the Houston Texans and quite possibly an ascendant to the throne of great NFL teams.
Yes.
Since CJ Stroud's rookie year, they are borderline unwatchable.
Yeah.
Because everything is difficult for them offensively in a way that it almost feels like they're trying to suck on offense.
They're throwing the game. They're doing this on purpose.
Well, it's not like they lack talent. It just like doesn't work. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. Like they have enough nice pieces that it shouldn't look this hard to run an NFL offense.
Correct.
I don't know. And they're another team where it's like they're on. If they appear on like the corner of a four box for me, maybe. Well, they're all corners, but if they appear in like bottom right corner is like the least watched for me. I think
Interesting.
it generally goes. I think it generally goes games on the left side, like top left and bottom left, are generally the ones I'm more interested in,
And then upper
and then
right.
top right, and then bottom right's like, yeah, that's where I'm just gonna throw, a game that I might have a gambling reason for or a fantasy reason, but I don't really want to pay attention to the game, but I might move over there if these other three games are at commercial or halftime all at once. And that's where the Texans might end up,
Yeah.
unless they're playing the Vikings. And then I probably don't even have the quad backs
I
go
was
in
gonna say
because
then there
I've
is
got to
no
lock
box.
in. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking Schaef at CJ Stroud's numbers. Now here's something that I just realized. Did you know that in his career in the regular season, he has only had 2 games with 3 or more touchdown passes in his entire career to this point? He had 5
One of
against
them
the
was
Bucks.
against the Bucks 2 years ago.
He had
That
5
game
against
I
the Bucks.
remember very well. That's one of
Yeah.
those random NFL games that there was a lot of gambling and
Mm.
33 pool you're familiar with.
Oh,
That
yes.
won someone $700 that day. There's a backup kicker that was actually a running back in that game. There's just a lot that happened in that Texans Bucks game.
Yeah, so he had
Plus, it
5 in
was like
that game.
a Baker Mayfield party for
I
those
was
of
gonna
us who
say
participate.
yes, yeah. You are I still cannot believe how much you love Baker, given how much you used to hate him when he was with the Browns. Anyway,
it's a total flip.
it
Total
really
flip.
is. It's wild. It'd be like if tomorrow you're like, you know what, I like Jordan Love now. This is pretty cool. Go Jordan Love.
No, I actually think I was like way more insulting to Baker Mayfield than I've ever been.
You were a jerk. You did bets about him. The Browns came into Minneapolis and
I mean, I
him,
did.
You had
I
to
did
pay up
radio
on
segments that were
yeah.
titled "How many quarterbacks are better than Baker Mayfield?" And
Yeah.
Happer and I would go through like 27 quarterbacks before we got to Baker. And in our defense, he was horrible.
Yeah. Interesting. So then,
But
Schaef, that was 2
horrible.
years ago.
Now he's fun.
Yeah. Now, on the other side, though, CJ Stroud was fun. Now he's horrible. He had 3 touchdowns last year against the Patriots. So how about this? He started last year with 2 touchdowns against the Colts, 1 touchdown against the Bears on that god-awful Sunday night game. Since then, he has thrown over the course of the last 2 seasons 19 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. So this is now, you're talking about a full year sample size for him where he is 19 and 15. Among all the other stats, his yards per attempt drops year after year. His completion percentage is actually pretty much where it's always been at 64%. But they are a ugly football team. They're not enjoyable to watch. And so all that to say, because it started with the Colts conversation, I agree with you. It's them or the Jags. I thought that there'd be a little regression coming from Houston this year. They are gross, though. I think they're a disgusting football team to watch. And so, like, maybe the Colts are real. Like, I'm still not buying in. Now, part of this, I will admit, is my anti-Daniel Jones bias that will forever exist because people told me he was going to be good for the Giants, and he never was, except for that he had a nice year a couple years ago, and you obviously know it very
good. I watched
you know
him
it very
good.
well. Yeah, and then they paid him $40 million, and he turned back into a pumpkin. So part of it is
Did he turn into the pumpkin, or did the Giants sort of remain a pumpkin?
That whole franchise is most definitely a pumpkin. Most definitely a pumpkin. They stink. They absolutely stink. So I am out on them, but we'll see if I end up being wrong. I picked the Jags to win the division. I'm holding on to those cards. Definitely, I think we are. Yep. I think we can cancel Houston. I think we are done with Houston. I hope you and I don't have to talk about them at all on the pod the rest of the year.
I mean, we could have like a list where we just don't talk about this team anymore, and they could go on that list.
Perfect.
I'm okay with that.
Awesome.
I would say, though, does Houston play Dallas? Because that presents a hell of a fun thing. An offense that can't score versus a defense that can't stop. Something's got to give.
Yeah, what do they always call that? The immovable or the movable versus the yada, yada, yada. They do not sadly.
The stoppable force versus a movable object.
Sadly, there is no matchup between those two teams, so that'll be a bummer.
Tough year for football in the state of Texas. Wow.
Oh, boy, yeah. Congrats to Texas Tech fans, at least.
Well, I mean, there's got to be
Texas
another
A&M.
Well, and TCU's undefeated, right? Yeah, I mean, there's
I saw a playoff pick yesterday, Schaef, that had those 3 teams making the playoff, but not the Longhorns, and I was like, that'd be pretty funny if that happened. That'd be pretty good.
Oh man,
that'd be pretty good.
Poor Arch Manning.
How about this comment from Sam as we move on from the Texans AFC South conversation? Though G. Merle says, I'm a Titans fan. I don't need more NFL. Colts have the benefit of the AFC South so they can steal the Texan spot. Yeah, I understand that. G. Merle, tough. Brian Callahan is a tire fire right now. Holy God, he is just awful.
Who could have
Absolutely.
imagined a guy that really only got the job because he was the offensive coordinator of Joe Burrow and the Bengals?
Yeah.
Also, that he only really ended up coaching in the NFL because his dad was a former NFL coach and just in the. Who could have imagined that a nepotism baby would ultimately struggle in certain ways? I never could have guessed it.
Yeah, who could have seen that coming?
To be fair, there's lots of nepotism babies that thrive
everywhere,
but
yeah,
that's just how it works. But that was never a hire. When they replaced Mike Vrabel, who I think is a good coach, but we can talk about the Patriots later if you want. And when they replaced Mike Vrabel with Bill Callahan's kid, it was like, okay, we're not serious. This isn't a serious organization.
Well, and then what do they get? The delay of game coming out of the timeout on Sunday? Like, what are we doing here? How do you get a delay of game coming out of the timeout?
Well, I've seen Kevin O'Connell do that, so I can't. I can't really like pile on because he takes extraordinarily long to get plays in. I don't know if it's the same thing for Brian Callahan, but doubt it. When you're trying to kick a field goal, it really shouldn't happen that way.
No, it shouldn't. Sam writes, though, top flight divided in 3 tiers. I wanted to see what you think about this. He has the Bills and the Bucs in their own separate tier. He has the Chargers, the Eagles, and the Rams in the next tier. And then he has the Lions, the Packers, and the Ravens. He says Bucs are flawed but are gritty and haven't hit their full stride, in my opinion. Get healthy again up front. And what do we think about the way that these 8 teams are divided, according to a lovely subscriber to patreon.com/i80club Sam? How do you feel about those?
I think that my Super Bowl prediction was Bills Bucs, and so clearly
you're feeling pretty good about
okay about the top tier. I don't know that I would put those two by themselves. I mean, I think the Eagles would deserve to be in there. They're 3-0.
Benefit of the doubt.
They've won. I mean, say what you will about that Cowboys game, but against the Chiefs and the Rams, they beat playoff teams in unconventional ways, but they still won those games. And so,
if we're going to punish the Eagles for winning weird games, we should punish the Bucs, right? Because they've won games in similar ways.
The Eagles have probably a more quality schedule of wins than the Bucs do.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to take anything away from the Bucs. No. So I wouldn't from the Eagles. I would move the Eagles to that top tier as well. Who are the other ones in tier 2? Is there anybody else I would move?
Yeah, and by the way, the Eagles and the Bucs play on Sunday, so that'll be interesting. The Chargers.
They have had phenomenal games. That playoff game, not so much when the Bucs just like kind of handled them, and we all thought it was the end of Jason Kelce and Levante David's career, and it turned out it was just Jason Kelce that retired, and Levante David still kicking ass 2 years later, but
still making plays.
No, those teams are a lot of fun when they get together.
Yep. So Chargers and Rams were the other two. So we would move the Eagles up into tier 1. Would we keep the Bucs in tier 1, or would we drop the Bucs down to tier 2?
I'm okay leaving them in tier 1, but I could listen to the argument for tier 2 and think that I don't know that there's a big difference for me between Bucs Chargers, and I don't think the Chargers are tier 1. So I'm okay with Bucs Chargers in tier 2 with he has Rams Ravens in that one as well.
No, he had the Rams. It was Chargers, Eagles, Rams. So we're okay with moving the Eagles up, the Bucs down, and so it'd be Bills, Eagles in one tier, and then Chargers, Bucs, Rams in the next tier. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know about the Rams. I'm not sure I'm putting the Rams in tier 2 exactly. Tier 2's hard. I think through 3 weeks, it's really difficult for me to determine how I feel about the teams that are considered upper your echelon. Outside of I felt good about the Bills coming in. I still feel good about the Bills.
Feel good.
I felt good about the Eagles coming in. I still feel good about the Eagles. I felt good about the Bucs coming in. I still feel good about the Bucs. I think the Packers and Lions are legitimate playoff teams. Now, are they tier 1, tier 2, tier 3? I don't know.
That'll show itself over the course of the year.
I don't think that any team right now from the NFC West is that much better than any other team from the NFC West. So I think they all deserve to be in their own tier called NFC West. We don't know where to go here.
That's like tier 3.1. It's like 3B is the NFC West.
Tier 3B is where I'm putting the NFC West. And it's, I actually think Seattle's the best team out of that group. Um,
Really?
yeah, well, they should have beat the 49ers in week 1 and they would be 3-0 right now. Like they should have won
Sure.
that game.
Sure.
And I think, and obviously I'm a Sam Darnold guy, but I think their
Sure.
defense is legit. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is about to become a star in this
He's
league if
awesome.
he's not already. And
Yeah.
it's weird to me it took 3 years to get here for a guy that I thought was
I know.
unquestionably the best wide receiver that I had watched in college when he just torched Nebraska in 2021. And you might say, Mike, a lot of people torched Nebraska in 2021. And I would say probably not to the level that Jackson Smith-Njigba did. And you
Correct.
would say, okay, now we're parsing through what torching means. And then I would try to get out of the conversation. But the point is, I think he's really, really good. I think Kenneth Walker, like, I like a lot of that team. Their offensive line, I never loved. They always seem to have a shitty offensive line. But you combine that with what feels like it's a legitimate defense.
Yeah.
Like, I just, and the Seahawks have become like my late window team over the last
they're
couple
always
years.
on, and their atmospheres are great. Like it's a fun stadium to watch games for, right?
They seem to play in like fun games too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I clearly had bought in on Geno, like when it was Geno and Lockett and Metcalf, I was interested. So I like their infrastructure. I really do. And I just don't know what to do with the Rams because I like their defense more than their offense. Their offense is pretty good. I like Kyron Williams. I like Puka. I think Matt Stafford's like 2 hits away from just going into a retirement care facility. And then I don't really believe what's behind him.
He still drops some dimes, where you're like, holy shit, what a throw. But he also, it's like, oh man, he is definitely getting up there. And it's going to be, can he make it through in a whole season? And obviously, I know you're about to get in the 49ers. Like the news came out yesterday, Bosa is out for the year with an ACL. Every week, a new injury has come up, and they have survived.
And this is like 10
far.
years in a row. 10 years in a row of the 49ers having a loaded roster, and then by like week 5, they're playing with a few stars. They're stars and scrubs. That's how the 49ers are built.
They're like the strike NFL teams from the 80s. Yeah. It's like, who are all these guys?
They got their line crossers and their, the scabs.
It really is. It's guys. Yeah, it's a bunch of scabs on the football team right now.
So
yeah,
it's not like they could very well be a playoff team, but like if the Vikings took on the 49ers right now, I would not be concerned about that game in the sense like,
because you've oddly had like a lot of success against them too. Like you've kind of owned the 49ers even when they've been a good team over the last few years. So shout out to Minnesota.
That might be why I don't think that highly of them.
I think it probably is. Whereas I view them as like a Death Star that should be I'm like a planet in Star Wars where it's like, but they could explode, they could blow us up. Like Schaef, we got to take
Joe Montana
like,
and Jerry Rice aren't coming out of the retirement.
Yeah, but Brock Purdy and Kittle are there still. Like, I mean, when they're healthy.
That means nothing to me. I know. They're 3-0, and Mac Jones is now their quarterback. And oh my God, wow, they didn't have Raising Cane's out there chucking it around, and they're still winning football games. Who could have seen that coming? Wow, quarterback-friendly system, and some guy could just step in and lead them to wins. That never happens in San Francisco. Mac Jones is going to get a big deal.
So the NFC West is in its own tier. I think so. Going back to
who do you think the best team in the West is? Is it the 49ers for you?
No, not anymore. They're just too banged up. So I think it's the Rams.
So it's the Rams.
I think it's
by a substantial margin.
No, not by a substantial margin. I do trust their quarterback more than the Seahawks quarterback. And
even if he might be put out to pasture and old Yellard by the end of the season.
Now, part of this is like, at this moment in time, like call me in a month if Stafford is hurt his thumb or something like that. But right now, I like their head coach more. I like their quarterback more.
Oh, they're the best coach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, by far. And I like the infrastructure more. But part of that is like I have history. I can tell you about. I watched the Rams do X, Y, and Z. The honestly, Schaef, the big positive for them this year is they didn't get off to a shitty start. What have they been the last few years? Like 2-4? And I guess they still could be 2-4. They could lose the next 3 games. But I also watched them, really put it to Philadelphia for 2.5 quarters, and then they tipped their foot off the gas, and Philadelphia made a great comeback. And now if you're a Rams fan, you're like, how the hell are we not 3-0 right now with the tiebreaker over them for the whole rest of the year? And now, if there would be any home field, most likely they're not going to win it over them. So I like the Rams, but I have concerns with them. I think the interesting discussion to me is, what do we do? Well, I'll give you a couple of teams. What do we do with the Chargers? because I've been very impressed with them so far. And obviously, I think the world of Jim Harbaugh. The Lions' week 1 loss to the Packers now seems like it's a million years ago with how they have looked. And I know the Bears are bad, but what they did last night was so damn impressive. Dude, and part of that too, and we barely mentioned the Ravens. What do we do with the Ravens? Because you and I obviously think very highly of Baltimore, but they're now 1-2, and they're 1-2 in games where Derrick Henry has some late fumbles that allow for the Bills to come back into the game and the Lions to go down and take the lead. And so I kind of don't really know, or I guess maybe that allowed them to. Did that allow them to kick the field goal to go up by 7? I'm now mixing up maybe what happened last night, but either way, I come away from that game ultimately impressed by what Detroit did, and it's like, all right, well, everything might be just okay with them after that week 1 loss was terrible, and now they've righted the ship after a couple of weeks.
So I'll start with the Ravens first, and then I'll go to the Lions.
Okay.
So for me, like, if I were to tell you right now the Ravens are going to finish 12-5, third in the AFC, and you're number 2 in the AFC, what is your level of enthusiasm to see that team come to your house in January? It's
terrible.
0. Nobody wants to play that team.
No.
Like, they might have 2 losses, but their 2 losses are to 2 teams that have very good offenses that could score a bunch of points, and Derrick Henry had untimely fumbles in both of those games.
Yep.
So that's not to dismiss it, because I think the concern is that Ravens defense isn't quite to the level that we've seen Baltimore defense in the past.
Though, to be fair, real quick, it also got off to a slow start last year. So, like, I'm willing to give them a lot of grace.
Right. And it ultimately just comes down to me for this. They have what I regard to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They have what I regard to be one of the best running backs in the NFL. They have playmakers at wide receiver that I think are better than what they've had in the past. Now, Zay Flowers was really quiet yesterday. I don't know if they just couldn't ever get him going, but he's been really good at times. I think Rashad Bateman is like, he's not like a 1 or a 2 in the NFL, but he's a guy that can like come up with a big catch 2 times a game. And you're just like, God damn it, Rashad Bateman shouldn't be getting open on me, but here he is. And then Mark Andrews actually looks like a little bit. Is there like a chance there's a Mark Andrews resurgence here? Like
that throw and catch,
thought his career was done, and then he looked great last night. I mean, he was actually of the things that stood out to me that weren't just the Lions. Maybe we made too much of Ben Johnson as a play caller, because it really doesn't seem to matter who's calling plays. They're just doing whatever they want in their bag of tricks. And then the other thing is, hey, Mark Andrews. Could Mark Andrews be the best tight end in the NFL if Brock Bowers is a shell of himself with an injury? And we know it hasn't been Travis Kelce for like 3 years, so I don't even need to have that conversation. After that, I mean, Trey McBride, right? Like it's one of those 3 is probably the best tight end in the NFL right now, and probably Trey McBride, and then it's probably Mark Andrews if he's going to look like this. I mean,
and if Bowers is going to be hurt.
Yeah, I mean, if Bowers isn't hurt, it is Bowers by a wide margin.
Yeah.
I haven't seen enough of Tyler Warren because I haven't watched that much Colts, but from what I have heard and read, it sounds like Tyler Warren has been very good.
Not surprising given how much he dominated last year.
The whole like NFL draft conversation between Loveland and Warren was interesting to me, and I don't know that it's going to be proven in year 1, but the thing about Warren that always stood out to me is it's like Penn State designed their entire offense around him.
Yep.
Like they made sure he was getting touches. Michigan wasn't doing that, and that doesn't. I think Loveland's good. Don't get me wrong. I actually think the Bears have a really interesting 2 tight end set with Cole Kemet and Colson Loveland, but I would take Tyler Warren. I would have taken Warren over Loveland before. I would take Warren now. I think Warren is just more of a playmaking tight end than Loveland might be a better blocker. Like that might legitimately be the thing there. But Warren's in that discussion too. So all of that to say, I would not be excited about being the 2 seed in the AFC
Hell
and
no.
you're getting the Ravens. So I have no concerns about them at all. Their losses are to other good teams. The thing is, you blow 2 games. One of them was at home, at least. One was on the road, but I think they're going to take care of the AFC North, so it doesn't really matter. The Lions look good, and it's a reminder that we shouldn't overreact to week 1 ever in the NFL.
Correct.
Because it's just a lot of these guys don't play preseason anymore. Things get kind of funky. The Lions look good. I begrudgingly have had big to come to accept them as a good football team in week 18 of last year. I finally decided at that point that they were good. They followed that up with just a horrific loss to Washington, in which I laughed and I laughed and I laughed and I
And we had
laughed.
many good conversations
Yeah.
naming the
You were
the
there.
leading
You
running
got to
backs
enjoy
year
it.
to year. Yeah.
We were commemorating the loss that you had just recently had in your life at that point. And so it was a nice Saturday for us. Jack Mitchell was there. He had
Jack Mitchell
responded
had
to
a great
text in
time.
time to arrive. Yeah, he did have a great time.
Yeah.
Then we sat around and named random players and leading rushers in the NFL. It was a wonderful evening for all.
And then he moved to Omaha, so we'll probably never hang out with him ever again.
Well, probably not with Jack, but
he's never going to come here. So now we'll have to have different watch parties, which we might have one on the books for mid-October.
Clearly, Aiden Hutchinson is a big, big difference maker for Detroit. I mean, he looked really good. I sent you my text about their linebacker that I absolutely despise.
You hate that guy
for years, starting with his career in New Orleans and then continuing on looking like a mega douche in Detroit. So, they're good.
The other thing, Schaef,
they're good. Here's the thing about them, though. And maybe this is just irrational confidence on my part. I see these teams and I recognize that they're good, and no part of me has any fear about the Vikings playing them. I just, the Packers and the Lions are good, and yet I think Minnesota's every bit as talented roster-wise. I think they're going to give them game. I think they're going to beat the Packers. I genuinely do.
Even with your shitty quarterback situation?
Jordan Love versus Brian Flores is a point in my favor and has been for 2 years now.
Yeah, that's true.
Kevin O'Connell versus Matt LaFleur, that's been a point in my favor too. The vaunted Packers defense looks pretty damn good, not gonna lie. That offense, I mean, they lost who do they even lose? They lost one wide receiver and Tucker Kraft was injured. Then suddenly they can't move the football at all.
Mm-hmm.
This was it's the youngest team in the NFL. Wow, they got all this collection of talent. Jordan Love, look at these MVP odds, Josh. He's going to be amazing. You scored 10 points in Cleveland. Shut the fuck up. Good Lord. Are we serious right now? The Packers are a juggernaut. How many juggernauts scored 10 points against one of the teams that's projected to win 4 or 5 games this year?
Not many.
Cleveland could absolutely put it on Minnesota in England when they play in 2 weeks. And so
what a sentence.
We'll see if that comes to fruition and it all comes home to roost to me. But don't tell me a team's a juggernaut if they're going to score 10 points against Cleveland. Didn't Baltimore just put up 40 the week before against that same defense?
They did.
Good God.
Yeah.
And then the revisionist said, well, Cleveland's defense. Wow. Myles Garrett, he's great. Okay, yeah. You went against Joe Flacco. You lost.
Tough.
And that's enough Packers talk for me this week.
That's tough. I'll say this too, putting a bow on the Lions stuff. You said it's a reminder not to overreact to week 1. The other thing, and I had this opinion in the preseason, which is why I thought that they would have a little drop-off record-wise, because no team's going to go 15-2 for 2 years in a row, but they still make the playoffs. We underestimated how valuable it is to have talent. They are so talented. And I know new coordinators on both sides of the ball. I know, obviously, how you feel about Dan Campbell. He has built something there, but they are so damn talented. And I thought
they're good.
They're going to figure it out. They're going to figure it out on offense. And it took a week. The Bears were a get-right game. And then last night, again, what they did was very, very impressive. So I don't really know if we answered any of the questions about this whole tiers thing. The only team I guess we haven't really talked about a whole lot, Schaef, we made passing reference to the Bills because there's nothing more to say other than they look.
We haven't
really
talked
good.
about the Chargers that much.
Chargers was the other one. Yeah, I've really come away impressed by him. I thought that throw man that Herbert had to tie the game was the best play of his career, maybe, because he's getting pressure, his arms getting hit as he throws the football, delivers it into the end zone, and then they get the ball and they go back down and they kick a field goal for the win. So I've been impressed by them, and the thing that cannot be underestimated with them. Not only are they 3-0, but they're 3-0 against the division already. I can't remember a schedule starting like this before for a team. So pretty wild. And I thought the Raiders win was they dominated them. We talked about that last week a little bit, but I've been out on the Chiefs going into this year, and I still feel good about that opinion given how they looked on Sunday night against the Giants. So I like I like the Chargers in that division, and I think that they are, for me, on the upper crust of whatever the tier that is not tier 1, like however big this is. I think that they are near the top of that conversation, for me at least.
Are
Right
you similar to the 49ers in the way that they lose players? The Chargers tend to lose players throughout the year at a high rate, or seemingly more than other teams. I mean, I can't. That's an entirely anecdotal statement. I'm not going to back it up with like numbers.
Yeah.
But it does feel like the Chargers lose a lot of players, and they've dropped a couple offensive linemen since the season had started. Any concern there? They lost, and I know he's not great, Najee Harris, but they're good. I don't know that I'm ready to put them with the Bills, Ravens. It in kind of my like, these are the teams I really believe in. But could they be the 2 seed? Like, could we get the Chargers as a 2, and then Baltimore has to come out there?
Yeah,
and then I got to be honest.
You
give me a Harbaugh battle in round 2 of the AFC. I'm still taking the Ravens in that. Like, I mean, the Chargers could go 14-3, look great all year. Yeah. I like Justin Herbert. I've never been one of the people who's like, you gotta show the wins or whatever it is. I mean, people have really tried to Kirk Cousins him in a way, like, oh, his stats look good, but he doesn't do anything that really matters because his team always loses and his team plays in wonky games. And
they do play wonky
it feels
games.
like they're going to still probably play in some wonky games because it's the Chargers, but they have talent. I mean, Quentin Johnson looks good. He looks like he's revitalized his career these last 2 seasons.
He does.
Ladd McConkey is one of those annoying wide receivers that you hate when he's on the other team because he's inexplicably open on third down every single time.
Every time.
O'Marion Hampton looks like he's going to be a pretty good player for him.
Yes, I'll draft him.
So I think I have no notes to add with the Chargers. I think they have a clear path to winning the AFC West. I think they can be the number 2 or number 3 team behind Baltimore and Buffalo, or maybe even slightly ahead of one of those. So those feel like the upper crest of the AFC. I'm not. Denver is behind for me there. Kansas City's behind for me there.
Oh yeah.
Really, nobody else in the AFC.
I was going to say, there's nobody else even in this. I guess we started the pod with the Colts. You know, like depending on how you view the Colts. I think Schaef, the AFC. I have reached the point through 3 weeks.
I would take the Broncos and the Chiefs over the Colts.
Yeah, I probably would too. I would be surprised if it was anybody other than.
So who's
the Ravens,
the 7th team out of the AFC?
I mean, we have not mentioned the Steelers. We have not said their name.
They're not going to. No, they are not going to find their way to the playoffs.
No.
Maybe they will because somebody has to be the 7th team. But is it?
It's not going to be Buffalo. It's not going to be Cincinnati, right?
When does Burrow get back?
December.
Cincinnati's not nearly as bad as Minnesota made them look. You're just not going to have games.
No, but it's just going to be hard. They're going to have to.
The same guy is not going to force multiple fumbles, return to an interception and a fumble for a touchdown, and then force a fumble on his very next play. Like, that's just not going to happen again.
Yeah, but they're going to have to tread water for 3 months. It's going to be hard.
That schedule isn't that tough.
Yeah, but they got to play the Ravens twice.
Okay, so there's 2 more.
And the Steelers
losses.
games are always close. So, like, I mean, they could split those, and that would be another, you know. And hell, even the Browns games. It's not like they own Cleveland, you know. I don't know, man. The edge of the AFC could be a real big drop off this year.
I heard that on a mutual podcast we listened to, and I wanted to refute it, and then I started thinking about it, and I've basically concluded that there's like 6 teams that people can feel pretty good about, and then everyone else is just kind of in a jumbled mess, which makes for sort of high variances and tough conversations.
Yeah, DZ says Chargers are winning that division finally. Yeah, I most definitely agree there. And so I think, Schaef, there are 3 teams that will come out of the AFC, and 3 teams only. It is going to be Buffalo, it's going to be Baltimore, and then a drop-off for me, and then the Chargers. And that is the list, and I will hold myself to that thought all year long. I would be blown away. I just don't see a path. I don't see how a quarterback is able to go into one of those. I mean, look, I know Patrick Mahomes does still exist, but they are not what they have been over the last years. And so I feel very comfortable in saying that right now, and I don't think I'm going to be sweating that at all. In January, Patrick Mahomes will show up, and I'm not going to be like, oh, no, here he comes. No, they're going to lose to one of those teams. It is one of those. It is Buffalo's or Baltimore's year. I very much feel that way. But maybe the Chargers will upset the apple cart and ruin it for everybody.
So let's finish up like this. We really haven't talked about the Vikings, which is fine because really not much to say in that game. They just sort of dominated from start to finish. Carson Wentz is currently their quarterback. We'll see how long that lasts. JJ McCarthy slated to be back for the game against the Eagles. Who are your 7 teams? Give me your 7 teams on each conference right now.
To make the playoffs?
3, yeah, these are your playoff teams. The playoff picture post week 3 by Josh Peterson. That's what it's going to be. The Peterson playoff picture brought to you by, and then we'll get a sponsor.
By somebody. Sponsor us now. I go Bills, Ravens,
hopefully your
Chargers.
name starts with a P, so we can keep the alliteration going.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Popeyes. Brought to you by Popeyes.
Oh, if Popeyes wants to sponsor and just give us 1 free meal a week, that's all we really need.
Come on, Popeyes.
Who do
we love you.
For this?
Yeah. Mr. Popeye? I don't know.
I don't even need anything. Just give me 1 sandwich a week. That's all.
Oh, my gosh. I'll take a couple thighs, please. Bills, Ravens, Chargers, Jaguars. Let's go. Schaef, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do 2 AFC South teams. The Colts, the Broncos, and let's put the Chiefs in. So those are my 7 AFC teams. I will
3
go.
from the West.
3 from the West. From the South.
2 from the South. You have the Colts and the Jags.
Yeah, how dumb is that?
Wow. And then Ravens and Bills. Okay. Yep. There's your 7.
NFC, let's go. Philadelphia Eagles, Green Bay Packers, Los Angeles Rams, and what conference have I not done yet? I just now
the team you hate the most for some reason.
Oh no, yeah, the Bucks. Obviously, I apologize, Schaef. And then we'll go Detroit Lions. We will go. Yeesh. Oh God, Seattle Seahawks. I need 1 more team. Wow, this is hard, Schaef. It really is. 49ers. Don't feel good. Where are you at?
So basically, I have 6 of the same teams. Actually, I'm going to put in the Jags. I'm kicking the Colts out. I don't think it actually happens. I'm going to put the Bengals in. The Bengals are my 7th team in the AFC.
Okay.
In the NFC, so I would have the Bucks as my South winner, the Eagles as my East winner. I'm going to go back to Detroit as winning the North for the 3rd straight year.
Nice.
4th. 3rd?
That would be
3rd straight year.
3rd straight year, yeah.
And I would put Seattle winning the West.
Okay.
And so those are those 4. I agree that the Rams are a playoff team, the Packers are a playoff team, and I think the Vikings would be the 7th seed in this scenario for me.
Look at this.
I think they have a really tough schedule, and I don't know exactly what JJ McCarthy is going to be, but with Christian Darrisaw back, their team looked significantly different offensively. So we'll see if Wentz and McCarthy, one of the 2 of them, can do enough to allow the rest of that roster to be successful. Without the quarterback, I think they have like a top 7 roster in the NFL. Adding in the quarterback, it drops more to like 13th.
And so that is National Fun League Week 3 recap. We'll be back again next week talking about, Schaef, your team playing overseas for the first of 2 consecutive games when Matt McMaster and I are rolling on Before the Witching Hour on Sunday morning at 9:30. That game will be at about halftime between the Vikings and the Steelers. So I hope people join us.
Maybe I just like pop in to
Schaef. That's a great idea. I'll send you. Maybe. Well, you might be doing the Sunday side sessions, but I'll send you the link regardless, just in case. Wait, there is no game this weekend. No Sunday side session.
So I don't have to worry about the Sunday side session.
Well, if you want access, let me know, and I will send you the link. That would be wonderful. We would love to have you stop by and maybe talk a little shit to the Steelers just for a couple of moments.
I gotta find a guest for the Week 6 game or Week 5 game with Cleveland's playing Minnesota. That'll be an 8:30 start.
Oh yeah, when are you going to record that?
Michigan State. So it's either going to be like a 9 o'clock at night Sunday side sessions on Saturday, or I'll have to find a guest who wants to go real early in the morning.
Okay. Well, if you need somebody, I'm always here for you. Though I think I have a different game on tap.
You got USC already locked in, so you're
hell yeah.
You're going to discuss Nebraska taking on Jaden Maeva.
Oh. Can't wait. So that's what we have NFL coverage-wise coming up. Schaef, tell the people what they can do to support your great work, because you don't just talk about the NFL for a living. You talk about other stuff and write about other stuff too.
Yeah, I certainly do. You can go to Husker247.com. Plenty of coverage from Nebraska's loss to Michigan, from the recruiting weekend that was, from all of the podcast content. We do daily podcasts now. It's just a quick
Hello.
10-minute hitter. It's like a radio segment, which is kind of funny because there are times where I have not enough creativity to come up with one 10-minute segment. And then I think about, hey, my friends have to do this multiple times in the same hour for 4 hours a day. Wow,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound like fun. And so, there's that. But it is a lot of fun at Husker 24/7 Daily. So we invite you to check that out. 10 a.m.'s on YouTube, and then the podcast drops sometime in the 10 a.m. hour generally. Yeah, we'll have the Hypecast will return for the Michigan State game. I will say this: if you were thinking about quitting on the Nebraska season because they lost by 3 points to Michigan, I would
Yeah.
advise you not to do that. I think there's
Oh.
still plenty to play for Nebraska, who is 3-1, with still 8 games left on the regular season schedule. I think they can win a handful of those 8 games. I think before the year, I thought that they would win a handful of those 8 games. Nothing has changed for me there. So if you were considering just being done with Nebraska football while still supporting the I-80 club, I would tell you still support the I-80 club and then let yourself continue to watch Nebraska football. That would be my advice.
That is a great way to support everything that we do here at the I-80 Club. You can get bonus episodes and more, including one that Jack Mitchell and I will record tomorrow night, patreon.com/I-80 Club. And again, we pretty much are doing a podcast a day at this point in time. This morning, Volleyball State was unlocked and available on their feed, so you can go check that out. We have I-80 Live coming up tomorrow night with Jack Mitchell and yours truly. We have an I-80 football show with 2 guests coming up on Thursday. And then the Big Ten Breakdown with Ben Stevens gets ready for a massive Week 5 in the sport on Friday, and then off to the races we go. So that's what we have coming up.
Is that the name of a podcast? Is Off to the Races a podcast on I-80 Club?
If I ever talk about running again into a microphone, maybe that could be the next one.
Or I mean, it could be a gambling podcast too, I would imagine.
If
you want to break down the Derby?
Nick infiltrates the club to talk about Formula One, Off to the Races. That could be his Formula One. No, we're not allowing it.
I will not support any Formula One talk at I-80 Club.
Yeah, Schaef, that was his rule. He said, I'll do National Fun League, but if Nick comes aboard, then I am done with National Fun League. And I said, all right.
Well, no, it's not Nick specific. It's
Formula One.
Yeah, I couldn't even come up with the name of the stupid thing.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Yeah. Whatever. People like whatever you like, but no, not for me.
Not for us. All right. That is National Fun League Week 3 recap. We'll be back again next week to talk about it all. For Mike Schaefer, I'm Josh Peterson. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.